everybody, it's Kara, and today I am in the Ambassador Animal Room, the warm room, because Shanae and I are working on animal welfare assessments. We, several times a year, assess the animals to make sure that they have optimal welfare, and that's what we're in the process of doing with all of our animals right now. This morning we did, let's see, skinks and bearded dragons and the desert toads, and we decided to make some changes to them, and we're getting ready to do an assessment on the ball python Nyoka. So I'm going to turn the camera around. Shanae's got her computer, and we're all sitting down and comfortable, and we're getting ready to assess this snake. I guess you can't see where I'm pointing. Assess this snake. Shanae's going to be my Vanna White right here. She is, how old? Oh, she is 20. I didn't realize that.
20 is pretty old. Wow.
So, I mean, she has great care, so she's very happy and sassy and has her diet reduced because she was a little too sassy, but that's part of the assessment that we do. They get annual exams as well to make sure that they're healthy. So, Shanae, do you want to start? We just sort of have a conversation about the things that we're assessing. We have a big, sorry, I was just sort of
that's okay,
going off into space
the habitat is much more lovely.
We have a database that we fill in with an honest assessment of what we're doing, and so that's what we're in process of now. So I think that we're going to kind of go through it and do it together and let you guys see what we do to make sure that that welfare is always at the maximum of what we're doing.
And animal welfare has always been the number one priority here at Sedgwick County Zoo. But we are part of the Association of Zoos and Aquariums, or what we lovingly call AZA. And collectively, as a 240 zoo and aquarium organization, they all decided that animal welfare needed to be so first and forefront that a whole new accreditation piece was developed, specifically not just on welfare, because welfare has always been part of it, but the assessment of that welfare. No longer can Kara and I come back here and just go, oh yeah, they look good. It has to be a systemized process that you can look at and then go back and determine and see if there's been changes or additions or subtractions of it throughout the time. And that's especially important as we see an animal changing its lifestyle. With our Nyoka, our ball python here, as an older animal, this is an animal that we need to start looking at to see if her lifestyle is changing in any way. So one of the first things that we do is we look at diet. We want to make sure that each animal's diet is varied, has the right frequency and distribution. I know a lot of people out there love their pets just as much as you and I, just as much as Kara and I should say, but overfeeding your pets out of love is not healthy. Just like it's not healthy for us here at the zoo to overfeed pets to provide different enrichment, different stimulus. So we need to make sure that the food is always in good variation and frequency and distribution. And with Nyoka here, you can see on her card, if I can grab it here, she gets every Tuesday, she gets 2 mice, and the first and the third Tuesday, she also gets a chick. Now, these are all pre-killed items. They're not items that are live. The animal can actually be injured by the food that it's supposed to eat. So we have chosen here at Sedgwick County Zoo to always feed pre-killed food to any of our animals. That is the best way that they get their food resources. So, Kara, I think that that's a good variety, it's a good frequency, and it's a good distribution. Now, with some of our snakes, we've realized that they can get a feeding aggression. If you've ever had, say, an animal at home that growls when they're near their food bowl, snakes, believe it or not, can do that too. So if they start to think that anytime someone is coming in or out of their habitat is to feed them, they'll start having a strike activity. So their natural instinct will be to think, oh, food's coming in, and they'll strike at it. So we do have some animals that we do not feed in their habitats because they have a better chance of striking. Nyoka, however, is not one of those. She's always been a really good, calm eater, so we don't necessarily have to worry about with that. So I think in our diet is species and individually appropriate in presentation with variation, frequency, and distribution. I think we're right on task for that. She has plenty of fresh drinking water. You can see we do different things each day, like today her drinking water has a rock in it. That just gives her a different feeling or a different thing that she has to go through. We also look at the quality, quantity, and diversity of food and water, and is it appropriate for that individual animal? In Nyoka's case, it definitely is. Does the animal have the opportunity to self-maintain? Is its enclosure clean? Is there proper drainage? If there is an issue, is it addressed in a timely manner? Do we mitigate risk in here? Is there something inherently that could injure the animal? If the animal is with another animal, is there an opportunity for conflict? Could the animal fall or get entangled or trapped or drowned? So we look at all those pieces, and then we also look at space. We make sure that we're using vertical space, the space up and down, and horizontal space as evenly as we can. We make sure that we have different substrate, or the right substrate, which is the stuff on the ground, and the right furniture as well. So with Nyoka, for example, she gets switched back and forth on substrate. Sometimes she's on paper, sometimes she's on soil type of substance. Sometimes she could even be on a moss. All that is to give her different choices in there and have her have different opportunities. You can also see we do things like use a lot of different sticks. We are always on the hunt for fun sticks. If you have a tree in your yard that you're cutting down and it has some really good forked pieces and stuff like this, or some of these, like these big knots, those are things we look for to continually have creative ways to make sure that the animals have a good diversity of furniture in their habitat. Now for Nyoka, I think she has just about everything she needs. She has some vertical height. She has some hiding spaces here. She has a difference in substrate, and even within the substrate, she has rock and bark in here, which continues to give her choices. So that's pretty good as well. We look at behavior needs. Do we provide everything in here that would give her the appropriate behavior? Type, amount, variety, and complexity? Yes, again, I think we're good with all those. What about shelter? Could she be able to get away from anything that was bothering her one way or the other? These little igloos make great shelters for them. They're easy for us to clean. They don't break down. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. So that works really well. And you can actually see that's where Nyoka is right now. She's hiding in that blue igloo right there. So that's working just as we would want to. We look at temperature, humidity, and lighting. You notice up here that Nyoka has a special light. This light actually can have two different types of light bulbs, a UVA bulb and then a regular bulb. That UVA, UVB bulb then can allow special lighting onto those animals that some reptiles especially need to help digest their foods. So we make sure that all those. The room in here, Carrie, we keep it about 83 degrees?
81.
81. So nice and warm, warmer than most of us keep our houses. But again, a nice temperature. And many of the animals also have a secondary heat source. So if she wanted to, say, be 100 or 99, she could move over to a heat pad where she has a source that's warmer for her than the rest of the habitat. So those are all pieces that we look at. We look at things like noise, vibration, lighting, air quality, chemical stimuli. Is there proximity to predators and prey? Are they in enclosures with others? Again, those are all not a problem with Nyoka. We look at things like how long do they get to stay in their habitat versus in their holding. Now, obviously, with Nyoka, that's not an issue because she's always in her habitat unless she goes out and does programs with us. But for, say, the African wild dog, we want to make sure that they're not spending 5 hours of time out on habitat and the rest of the 19 hours a day back in their holding area, unless those areas are equal. And I see our bearded dragon stealing the show.
Yes, he is. He's displaying.
That's always fun. We're back here, and again, that's a great enrichment piece. Us being back here just talking without paying attention to them is part of that enrichment with noise. Believe it or not, Kara and I can be a little noisy. We look at health. Are we proactive with our health? Do we have the adequate resources we need? Do they have any chronic condition or age-related issues that we need to look at? And again, for Nyoka, she has been just great, so we don't have any worries there. Then we look at things like her individual behavior. Is she in the right grouping? Ball pythons don't necessarily like to live together, so this is a good grouping for her. And then we go into some things with choice and control, and that is really a big piece to make sure that animals have the opportunity to choose what they want to do when they want to do. So last year when Kara created a new animal handling protocol here, one of the things we really looked at is what types of behaviors does, say, a ball python have when it's choosing to not be handled. Maybe they try and continually slither away. Maybe they hiss. Maybe they wrap themselves harder around a branch so they're harder to get off. So we let the animals have some of those choices, and if they choose to not go out on program, we honor that choice. And that's one of the reasons why we never guarantee any groups what animals will bring out, because it's that animal's choice. And by gosh, that day it might just decide it doesn't want to go to work. And that's okay with us. We look at different things with positive reinforcement. How can we continue to, if we need to, say, get a weight on Nyoka, how can we train her to move over and sit on a scale for us? Believe it or not, most all animals are trainable. And then we also look at things like enrichment. Enrichment are mental and physical things that we do for animals to keep them stimulated. Do we base our enrichment on program behaviors or behaviors we want them to do? And we do here at Sedgwick County Zoo. So we don't just go in and say, oh, today we're going to put a new piece of bark in there. We're putting a new piece of bark in there to help with mobility because it will give her a different tactile mobility process. We put a different feeding. Maybe we put her mouse and chicks in a box that day, so she has to then manipulate that box to get to her food. So we try and do a variety of different things on that aspect as well. So all those pieces go into every single animal. Just here in our education department, we have 40 different animals. So today, Karen and I spent about an hour, and I think we got 9 animal welfare assessments collected. It's a big process, but it's really important for us to do to continually show not just ourselves, but the world, the community, the excellent care that these animals are getting every single day. So if you ever have a question about animal welfare assessment or animal welfare when you're here at the zoo, stop and ask any of us. We're all learning as we go and figuring out how to make this process most successful for the animals we care for every day.